Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Atlantic Motorsport Park for day 2 of round 4 of the sARL Racing Series. Weather's a little different today than it was yesterday. Walking through the paddock this morning, I've heard many riders that it's fast as it was yesterday. I'm sure due to a little bit cooler temperatures there this morning and the wind that we can definitely feel up here in the tower. Kicking off the racing this morning, we have 3 heat races followed by a full-length race before lunchtime. First heat race, we just heard the 5-minute call go out. Here's for the Stephanie Napier RMT Formula Femme heat race. And just a little bit about the sponsor, which we want to thank Stephanie for sponsoring this class. She is a registered massage therapist who offers a blend of therapeutic and wellness massage at a home-based massage studio located in Ketch Harbor, Nova Scotia. She focuses on pain relief and injury rehabilitation while also offering relaxation massage. She is dedicated to helping you achieve a pain relief and active lifestyle. Again, thank you, Stephanie, for helping out, sponsoring this Formula Femme class. Got 7 riders in the Formula Femme heat race this morning. On pole position, the championship leader, rider number 20. Out of Chesapeake, Nova Scotia, on board a 2015 Yamaha R3, sponsored by Porter's Lake Pub. That is the 20 of Jeanette Ball. To her left, only 1 point in the rears, 59. That is rider number 196 of Kristen Whitehead. Making up the front row, we have rider number 171 of Marina Taylor. Second row sees the 7 of Sasha Richard and the 27 out of Lower Sackville on board a Yamaha R3, sponsored by Liberty Plus Racing and ABS Fairings. That is Brianna Mosier. Tight battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th in the championship, as only 3 points separates those 3 riders, so we'll see how that contention happens this morning. Rider making a return here to Atlantic Motorsport Park. Out of Wickham, New Brunswick, on board a CBR 600 is the 420 of Courtney Sayers. And making up the 3-row grid this morning is the 172 of Nicole Schneer. Riders now out on the track for their 1 warm-up lap. 11 corners to get heat in those tires. Riders now making their way on to the front row here. So we're now seconds away from the start of the action this morning. Now in the starters' orders, and we're racing. Looks like it's Kristen Whitehead with the hole shot. Courtney Lorraine from the back row. Looks like she was diving down into second there. We'll wait to see what happens out of turn 2, but Courtney Sayers really making her presence known this morning. It is Kristen Whitehead followed by Courtney Sayers out of turn 3. At the moment, Kristen has about 3 bike lengths, but she was able to gobble a couple of them up there mid-corner of turn 4 as now they charge towards the back straightaway. About a half a second now, the gap between Kristen Whitehead and Courtney Sayers. Into turn number 9. Healthy battle shaping up here for that last front row start. And also, that'd be 2 championship points. That's between Jeanette Ball and Marina Taylor. Kristen Whitehead has opened up a couple of more bike lengths there from 2-3, now heading towards turn 4. It looks like it's about a second and a half there now as they make their way around turn 4. I'm sure the game plan for Courtney today is, or at least this morning, is just to get a couple more laps under her belt, get rid of that rust from having a little time away from the track. So this is a front row start, which will definitely help her be immediately into that battle as she started from the third row a couple of laps ago. So looks like the battle to watch is Jeanette Ball and Marina Taylor out through turn 9. 3 bike lengths separating those bikes now, making it onto the front straightaway. So the riders get the halfway marker. Keep an eye on these lap times as well for Jeanette. She's going to be in that catch-22 race just before lunch. About a 1:23 flat, so a great time from Jeanette this morning. We'll put her in contention for the win this afternoon. Anyone that wasn't here, a great battle in the catch-22 yesterday. Lots of dicing back and forth between, I believe it was 4 riders. But now, coming over the top of 5, Jeanette Ball has about 6 bike lengths now down the back straightaway. She was able to stretch out there between 3, 4, and over the top of 5, but down the back straightaway, Marina Taylor now only 2, 3 bike lengths back. Make that 1 now through 7. Kristen Whitehead crosses the line. She gets the last lap flag, followed by Courtney in second. But my eyes are on this battle coming on to the front straightaway. Jeanette Ball and Marina Taylor. Oh, Marina Taylor, great drive
out of turn 11, able to take over that front row position. That's also going to help her in the championship. As in heat races, the winner gets 4, then 3, 2, and 1 for fourth. So that's an extra championship point. And she's only 1 ahead of Sasha, 3 ahead of Brianna. So that's definitely going to help not only for the start this afternoon, but in the championship. Now coming onto the back straightaway, Marina Taylor, 1 bike length ahead of Jeanette Ball. Marina Taylor not able to open up as big of a gap as I thought, having that little extra horsepower there. So now Jeanette Ball may have a move here into turn 9, but here comes the winner, Kristen Whitehead. Jeanette Ball up the middle, up the inside, just not close enough as Marina Taylor shut the door. Now onto the front straightaway, Courtney Sayers cross the line in second. Here comes third and fourth. Brianna Mosier crossing the line in fifth. Here comes Sasha Richard. Out in 6. Nicole Schneer, 1 more corner to go, coming on to the front straightaway. New machinery for Nicole Schneer. She has been riding a Kawasaki 250, now on board a Yamaha R3. Good to see Nicole back out on the track as well. Healthy field this morning, 7 riders in the Formula Femme.
Now a couple of minutes away from the next heat race this morning, which is the THB Safety Consultants Limited Thunder 4-lap race. 16 riders on the grid. On pole position, rider number 34 out of Halifax, Nova Scotia. On board a Kawasaki Ninja 400, sponsored by Rally Motorplex and Flexiglass Bodywork. The championship leader with 74 points, Mark Goodwin. 29 points back. Rider number 66 would be Matt Covey, starting from the center of the grid. 9 points back with 36. Rider out of Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, on board a Kawasaki 400, sponsored by HFX Decos, is William Fonsavon. Second row sees the 24 out of Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, on board a Yamaha R3, sponsored by Miller Time Racing. That'd be the 24 with 32 points is Darcy George. Third row sees the 9 out of Debert, Nova Scotia, sponsored by Lucas Oils and Truro Motorsports. That is Gary McKinnon. Middle of the third row is going to be the 72 out of Sambro, Nova Scotia, on board a CF Moto 450, sponsored by Sambro Cycle Service, Ken Mack Power Sports, and CF Moto Canada. That is the 72 of Scott Campbell. Making up the third row, the 145 out of Sydney, Nova Scotia, on board a Kawasaki Ninja 400, Craig McInnes. Fourth row sees the 195 out of Orangedale, Nova Scotia, sponsored by Good Robot, Jazz Cabbage, Dee Dee's Ice Cream, and the Float Center. That is a 195 of Angus Campbell. Fifth row sees the 46 of Jarek Campbell. And the 4 out of Beaverbank, on board a Kramer 690. That is Jack Robowski. Making up the fifth row is the 86 of Michael Brunt. Sixth row sees the 111 out of Inverness, Cape Breton, on board a Yamaha R3, sponsored by Nova Drilling, a rider of Jonathan Anderson. Making up the sixth row, the 95 out of Woodstock, New Brunswick, on board a Yamaha R3, sponsored by Tony Martin Plumbing, is William Martin. Making up the field on the seventh row is the 78 of Jason Rideout, the 17 of Caleb Knowles, and the 69 of Ryan Hum. Riders now making their way towards turn 9, so only a couple of corners to go to head onto the front straightaway and get in their grid's position. So I'd recommend anyone that has the time to get to your favorite spot to watch this race. 16 riders out there, all of them with a lot of familiar or similar lap times, I should say. So lots of close action out here this morning. 4 laps. Unlike the longer full-length feature race for the Thunder, you don't have time to slowly navigate through the field, so you'll see people being a little bit more rushed to get around riders to try to get a good position, especially some riders from the back that maybe don't have any championship points, because this is just championship points sitting the grid. So you'll see maybe riders like Caleb Knowles in the back trying to make his way as quick as possible to the front. And more racing.
Out of turn 2, it is Matt Covey, followed by Mark Goodwin. In third, Craig McInnes. Fourth, Darcy George, followed by Jonathan Anderson. Up towards turn 2, Matt Covey has about 3-4 bike lengths over Mark Goodwin. Looks like the rider on the move. Caleb Knowles got around 6 riders already, so he's almost in the top 10 already over down the back straightaway. He'll use the power of that Ducati, I'm sure, to get a couple of more before turn 7 as he's side by side with Angus Campbell and then tucks up another rider. So now Caleb Knowles quickly moving around 7 riders. Onto the front straightaway, Matt Covey, 3 bike lengths ahead of Mark Goodwin. An important note for this is the yellow bike that we're not, I said Jonathan Anderson because I'm used to seeing that yellow bike, but that's actually Gary McKinnon on board his Aprilia RS660. Having a little trouble with the lightweight bike this morning, so he elected to bring out the Aprilia this morning, I should say, for the Thunder race. Now heading down, he'll see if he can use the horsepower of that Aprilia. Right side by side with Gary McKinnon and by Matt Covey. It is Gary McKinnon taking over the lead. Momentarily, we're in 7. See if he can hold it off as they march towards turn 9. It is Gary McKinnon. First time racing this Aprilia here at Atlantic Motorsport Park. Riders getting the halfway marker, 2 laps left to go. Oh, looks like we got a rider down in turn 3. That is Mark Goodwin down in turn 3, trying to pick the bike up.
Roger that. Keep me updated, 3.
Good to see the rider up immediately trying to get to that bike. Back up to this battle, though. Gary McKinnon pulling away from Matt Covey. Caleb Knowles has marched his way up to 3rd place. And see if you can see him now, starting to make some headway here. We'll see what happens here with Caleb Knowles and Matt Covey. As Caleb Knowles has now got within about 1 second in between 3 and 4. He's going to have the back straightaway here to try and march around Matt Covey. Over the top of 5, Gary McKinnon has about half the back straightaway over Matt Covey. We'll see what Caleb Knowles can do here. He is side by side with Matt Covey, moving into 2nd place. I don't know about you, but I'm excited to see these 2 twins go at it, folks, this afternoon between Gary McKinnon and Caleb Knowles. As the leader, Gary McKinnon, making his way onto the front straightaway on board that Aprilia RS660. Followed by Caleb Knowles and Matt Covey. Battle there for Greg McInnes and Darcy George. for fourth and fifth. Six riders within a second. That was William Fonsavon in sixth, followed by Angus Campbell, Scott Campbell, and William Martin. A second back from William is Jack Rubowski in 10th. Jonathan Anderson in 11th, followed by Jarek Campbell, Jason Rideout, and Michael Brunt. Looks like Mark Goodwin was able to remount on that Kawasaki 400. Is now, I believe that's him there coming into pit lane. So good to see that the bike is able to get back at its own power.
To that, was it all on his own free? Thank you.
All right, the bike's now making their way off track. Momentarily, soon, but we'll be off there for a little bit while let the bike get to their positions. All right, riders now making their way to the start-finish tower there, or whatever it's called, bridge, for the Bridgestone CSBK Series Sportsman Heat Race. On pole position, rider out of Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. Sponsored by RPM Cycle, Darren Marshall and Pirelli. The championship leader of 80, Blaise Fougier. $24 points back, rider out of Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. Sponsored by Sugar Mama Racing, Pro Cycle, and Burnside Brewing. Is the 62 of Phil Warnell. 3 points back, rider out of St. John, New Brunswick. Sponsored by Division 10 Specialties Limited, First Class Glass and Sensory Motorsports, is the 50 of Chris McRae. Starting on the second row, rider out of Brooklyn, Nova Scotia. Rider number 30, George Church. Making up the second row is rider number 17 out of New Brunswick, Caleb Knowles. Rider making up the field out of Moncton, New Brunswick, rider number 63, Bobby Couturier. Riders now in the starters' orders. Had more racing. Looks like it's Blaise Fougier with the hole shot. Believe that was Phil Warnell in second. Wait for the riders to come out of turn two. It is Blaise Fougier, followed by Phil Warnell. Chris McRae up to third, followed by Caleb Knowles in fourth. Chris McRae will want to keep close with Phil Warnell. Only 3 points separate those two in the championship. This category only races once a weekend, so only 2 races left in the championship, so points are getting slim out there, so any points you can get are coming out of premium. And right now, rider only 3 points ahead of him. Phil Warnell is only 2 bikes ahead of him as they head towards turn 9. Now onto the front straightaway. Cross the line. Only a second separated those 4 riders across the line. Couple of tenths between each one. We'll see what happens here out of turn 2. Still in the same order now through turn 3. A couple of bike lengths each between the riders. Great racing here this morning, I should say, in this Bridgestone CSBK Series Sportsman Heat Race. Now over the top of 5, heading down the back straightaway. Blaise Fougier, 2 bike lengths ahead of Phil Warnell. Same gap back to Chris McRae. Caleb Knowles lurking in the back in fourth. Looks like Phil Warnell may try an inside move here. Blaise Fougier, he is side by side. It's Phil Warnell taking over the lead from Blaise Fougier. Now onto the front straightaway. They're going to get the halfway marker. Phil Warnell immediately down into the low minute 13s out there, along with Chris McRae and Caleb Knowles. We'll see what happens here as Phil Warnell has opened up about half a second now over Blaise Fougere. Chris McCray only a bike length back from Blaise heading towards turn 4. Now it's all about the drive onto the back straightaway. Over the top of 5 goes Phil Warnell. Now open about a second back to Blaise Fougere, but only a couple of bike lengths separate the second and third place riders. Caleb Moore still lurking in the back and forth. If he's able to find one more spot, that will be a front row start. But it looks like at the moment, he is happy to be sitting there in 4th. Now on the front straightaway, last lap flag in the hands. Blaise Fougere pit crew giving him the signals that Chris McCray is right on his rear wheel going down the front straightaway. Now as they make their way towards turn 4, Phil Warnell now about a second and a half ahead of Blaise Fougere, so the battle at the moment is for second and third. Caleb Knowles about 3-4 bike lengths back, so at the moment it is second and third, the battle to watch as it goes now down the back straightaway. Chris McCray a couple of bike lengths back, so at the moment it's going to have to be a turn 9 pass from Chris McCray. One bike length back, we'll see if he tries to move here into turn 9. Just not close enough. Blaise Fougere holding off Chris McCray. It looked like he tried to go a little too tight, so he lost a bike length there. So now the drive onto the front straightaway. Phil Warnell, followed by Blaise Fougere and Chris McCray. So with that race, Phil Warnell able to open up a couple of more points. So now it's up to 5 points between those two riders for second and third in the championship. Phil Warnell putting in a heater of a lap on that last lap, getting down into the minute 12s with a 1:12.8. I'm sure he'll be happy with that lap times along with the win. Finishing up the field, Bobby Couturier in 5th, followed by George Church in 6th. And with the end of that heat race, that brings the end of the heat races this morning. Up next is going to be our first race. And as we just heard, the 5-minute call just went out for the Nova Drilling Catch-22 race. So we have 5 minutes for the action to start here this morning. Mentioned earlier, great racing yesterday.
Have everyone?
Looking at the grid, looks like a couple of the riders that
12 riders, I believe.
were pushing hard out there yesterday.
7 flat place, and after that,
Winner being Pat Patterson. John McRae looking at the grid. He finished in second. Looks like he wasn't able to compete today. He's not on the grid. Healthy battle between first, second, third, and fourth. Only 0.7 of a second separating those four riders. Tony Martin was there, 1.5 seconds back from that battle. So we'll see what happens here this morning. As the riders make their way down to pit lane in anticipation of heading out for the warm-up lap, a shout out to the sponsor, Nova Drilling. Nova Drilling provides geotechnical, environmental, and marine infrastructure drilling services throughout the Maritimes and as far north as Nunavut. The main type of drilling offered is diamond core, which provides a bedrock core sample for engineering consultants to design foundations and install environmental monitoring wells. Shout out to Nova Drilling. Right now, to run us through the order, on pole position, the championship leader, out of Chesapeake, Nova Scotia, on board a Yamaha R3, sponsored by Porter's Lake Pub, is the 20 of Jeanette Ball. 47 points back. Rider out of.
He's also on there.
Oh.
But he's not on here.
Out of New Brunswick, rider number 141 of Tony Martin. Making up the front row is the 53 out of Lake Echo. On board Yamaha R3 is Jim Marlowe. Second row is number 81 out of Dieppe, New Brunswick. On board a CBR 500, Oleg Kavisha. Making up the second row is a rider out of Lower Sackville, sponsored by Liberty Plus Racing and ABS Fairings, is the 27 of Brianna Mosier. Third row sees the 36 of Lucas Bull and the 15 out of Parlsboro, sponsored by Asylum Racing. And Nicole Burr is the 15 of Pat Patterson. Making up the third row is the 69 of Ryan Hum. Fourth row sees the 65 out of Moncton, New Brunswick. On board a Yamaha R3 is Sylvain Godin. Making up the front row, the 45 of Isaac Godet. Finishing third yesterday in the race. Starting from the fourth row, we'll see him march up through the field. Fifth row sees the 108 of Ayush Sapra and the 172 of Nicole Schneer. And it looks like the bike I was talking earlier, John McRae, he is here. Just got word he is on the grid.
Roger that. Control to start. Remember my mechanical track start. Turn 6.
Looks like we have a bike that's broken down on the back straightaway, halfway down. Looks like it's around 6B. Corner marshal's running down to that bike. Not sure which one it is.
Roger that. Thank you, 7. She's trying to fight. Hold for a second start. Go ahead, to runner.
At the moment, they're trying to figure out what to do with that motorcycle. Looks like the bike is able to get fired back up again. Only made it a short distance now here close to the brake markers in turn 7. Oh, it looks like the bike can only run for a short period of time. Made it another 20 feet. We'll see what happens here. They may elect to give these bikes another warm-up lap. They've been on the grid for a little while here. Hat slowly making his way now, or her way, not sure who that is. Able to make their way around turn 9, hopefully able to get into pit lane. Sure enough, he's now coming down pit lane. Now we'll wait to see if they give him another warm-up lap. It's the 88 of John McRae. Now giving them another warm-up lap. Hopefully that machinery of John McRae can make it around. He's getting them wave off. So John McRae pulling off the track there, sitting there just to the exit of pit lane up there by start finish. So now the bike's heading down the back straightaway for their warm-up lap again. With these tires, they keep them with tire warmers on, and when they get off the track, you immediately, when I say immediately, you want to quickly get to race pace so that you don't lose the heat in those tires, because they're designed to run at a certain temperature. As they get cooler, they start to lose the grip that they're designed to have, so that's why they got another warm-up lap, just to make sure they have some heat there, because right, we're racing. It looks like Ryan Hum all the way from, what row was he? Third row. I think he may have the lead going down into turn one. Rider there
We have a straggler that's just
on turn four. Not sure who that rider was on row four, but looks like they may have stalled on the pit lane, but Ryan Hum was first for a little bit, but Jeanette Ball able to claw back the lead there on the entry to turn three. Now out of turn four, it's Jeanette Ball with about a second and a half, 2 seconds over the second place rider of Ryan Hum. Now down the back straightaway, side by side. Not sure who that machinery is. New rider here. We'll like to see when they get closer to the front straightaway to see what number that bike is. Now coming out of turn 9. It is Jeanette Ball. Oh, our rider in second, run a little bit wide. That was Isaac Gaudet coming all the way from the 10th row, or the 10th position, the 4th row, up into second now across the line, followed by Ryan Hum and Tony Martin in 4th. Looks like Isaac Gaudet down into turn 2, able to get around Jeanette Ball. Now opening up about 5 seconds. Looks like Tony Martin has gone around Ryan Hum through turn 4. We'll see if he is able to make any headway in this gap ahead of him. Across the line, it was around 2 seconds. Looks to be about the same down the back straightaway. In 5th is Jim Barlow, but side by side with Pat Patterson. Had to let off the gas. Look, it was side by side, but elected to get off the gas and allow Jim Marlowe to hold that position through 7. But now onto the front straightaway, Isaac Gaudet. Keep my eye on the lap times. Isaac Gaudet with a 120.9. Isaac Gaudet, unfortunately, not able. You're not allowed to run lower than a minute 22, and Isaac Gaudet was at a 120.8, so it looks like now the lead has gone back to Jeanette Ball. Right here in turn 11, Ayesha Praz looks like he's lost the front end here in turn 11. See if he's able to pick that bike up and get it out of the way. Andy Hill, the turn 11 corner marshal, down there to help him. Now the double wave flag in turn 9. That's to let the riders know that there is an incident between 9 and the next time they see a green flag. It can be anywhere between there. So now they'll see through onto the front straightaway. So now here comes the battle for the lead. This is between Jeanette Ball and Tony Martin. Out of turn 2, heading towards turn 3. Battle for the lead. Jeanette Ball, 1 bike length ahead of Tony Martin. Now out of 4 over the top of 5. That's another 3, I believe, against the 250. I get a thumbs up down there on the paddock if Tony's on the 250. So she was able to open up a couple of bike lengths down the back straightaway. Tony Martin has been on an R3, but has elected to allow William Martin, his son, but Tony Martin from way back has let off the brake. He's taken a lesson from Darcy George from yesterday and now has found the lead coming onto the front straightaway. Tony Martin. They're getting the signs to let him know it's first that they are battling for. Pat Patterson able to find his way around Ryan Hum, moves into the third place. Fourth for Ryan Hum, fifth for Jim Marlowe. Tony Martin continuing to stretch his lead out there this afternoon, as now it's about 1.5 seconds as he's coming around turn 4 onto the back straightaway. We'll see what happens here with his lap times. He did a 1:23.3. We'll see if he's going to start flirting with that, with the 1:22 mark. 1:22s are okay. As soon as you touch 1:21, that's it. You're disqualified, so we'll wait and see here as he makes his way through turn 9. About 1.5 seconds ahead of Jeanette Ball. Healthy battle here for third, fourth, fifth, and sixth as Ryan Hum is trying to chase down Pat Patterson. He let the gap go out a little bit, but this last time by, he's able to get a couple of more bike lengths. Oh, Tony Martin has done a 1:21. Tony Martin has been disqualified, so now Jeanette Ball back to the top. So what that means now is there's a battle for second and third between Pat Patterson and Ryan Hum, as well for third. So fourth and fifth between Jim Barlow and Oleg Kavisha, as those bikes now head down the back straightaway. Keep an eye on Pat Patterson and Ryan Hum. Pat Patterson has the horsepower advantage, but Ryan Hum is showing more corner speed there on that Kawasaki 400. Now into turn 9, only a bike length. Down the back straightaway, it was 5 or 6 bike lengths. So now Ryan Hum right on the back of Pat Patterson. As the riders the last lap flag. It is Jeanette Ball, followed by Pat Patterson and Ryan Hum in third. Ryan putting in his fastest lap of the race last time by with a 1:24. Jim Marlowe sitting in fourth by Oleg Kamasha. In fifth, Brianna Mojer. In sixth, followed by Lucas Moll, Sylvia Godin, and Nicole Schneer. I'll follow this battle second and third. Pat able to open up a little bit of a gap there as they come towards the back straightaway. It looks like it's about 4 or 5 bike lengths. He'll open up a little bit more with the power of that 600 versus the 400 down the back straightaway, but we'll see if Ryan is able to do anything between 7 and 9 here. I have a feeling he's going to be just a little bit too far back as the checkered flag flies. Those two riders, they'll get the checkered flag, but here comes the leader, Jeanette Ball, taking the win, extending her championship points. followed by Pat Patterson and Ryan Hum. Jim Marlowe in fourth, followed by Oleg Kavisha in fifth. Brianna Mosher crossing the line, putting her fastest lap of the race down to the 125s, followed by Lucas Bull in seventh. Sylviane Godin coming onto the front straightaway. Crossing the line in eighth. Nicole Schneer finishing in ninth. And with that, looking at the championship points, I believe Jeanette Ball has locked it up. With Tony Martin not getting any more points, she was 47 points ahead. Now that's an extra 26 points. Only 2 races to go, so that's more than the 52-point gap. So I believe there's going to be a championship victory lap here for Jeanette Ball. Just waiting to see here if she is going to do the victory lap here.
Bikes are now on pit lane for the resumption of racing this afternoon, which is going to start off with the Pro Cycle Pro Sport Bike. Sponsor of the class, Pro Cycle, is Nova Scotia's home for power sports. Started in 1983 and has supported Canadian racing since the very beginning. Pro Cycle sells Honda, Suzuki, Kawasaki, KTM, and Gas, as well as a massive inventory of parts, accessories, and riding gear. Hats off to Pro Cycle for helping support this pro sport bike category in the 2025 season. Also a shout out to our streaming sponsors, Arc and Spark Electric, serving all PI's electrical needs from heat pumps and water heaters to full-scale robotic daily operations. Arc and Spark has you covered. Also, Empire Motorworks. Empire Motorworks is a full-service motorcycle shop located in Windsor, Nova Scotia, with a strong reputation of quality craftsmanship. Empire specializes in servicing American bikes like Harley-Davidson, European models like Triumph, and a wide range of Japanese motorcycles. Whether you're looking for full custom builds, engine rebuilds, general service, or tire changes, Empire Motorworks has the skills and experience to get the job done. All right, talking about the championship, we start to talk about these in round 4. In order for John Fraser to lock up the championship, he needs to win and Mario Richard to finish anything but second. And then we are racing. Looks like it was Mario Richard with the whole shot. John Fraser second. Cronus Roberts with a great start from the second row. Looked like he might be third. We'll see what happens here out of turn 2. It is Mario Richard into the lead, followed by John Fraser. Chris McRae into third. Cronus Roberts in fourth. Matthew Jollymore in fifth. Brad Bork in sixth. As now they come over the top of 5, heading down the back straightaway. Mario Richard a bike length ahead of John Fraser. See if John Fraser can use the draft to get up beside Mario Richard. Just not close enough. Mario Richard holding off John Fraser as they make their way to turn 9. Next move is going to be the inside of 9. John Fraser, experienced rider. He knows he has 10 laps up there, so he doesn't need to get everything done in the first couple of corners. So now coming onto the front straightaway. Mario Richard still holding off John Fraser, followed by Chris McRae in third. Cronus Roberts fourth, Brad Bork in fifth. But now, looking up to this battle, John Fraser able to get around Mario Richard. And he's opened up, looks like about 6 bike lengths there in turn 4. Now the battle is between Mario Richard and Chris McRae as they're heading towards turn 5, a bike length between the two. Heading down the back straightaway. Couple of bike lengths there now. Mario Richard able to get a little bit better drive over the top of 5, but hard on the braking now. Half a bike length separates those two riders. Brad Bork able to get around Cronus Roberts there. Thanks to Linda's Hawkeyes, gave me the signal to say some action happening back in the pack. Now onto the front straightaway. Chris McRae off his line a little bit onto the front straightaway. Heading towards turn 3, John Fraser. Across the line, it was 2.5. Looks like down into 2. He extended it some more there. So the battle is between Mario Richard, Chris McRae. Turn 4, 1 bike length between the two. Brad Bork starting to get racy there back and forth.
Cross the line, he was a second back from Chris McRae to get in there as well. Mentioned earlier, just before the race started, for John to clinch the championship this afternoon, he needs to win the race, and Mario Richard finishing in any position other than Sir doing the work that he needs to do. Mario Richard holding off 2 bikes behind him. The fastest of those 3 riders was Brad Bork, the only rider of those group to get down into the minute 12s. That's allowed him to catch up to the back of Chris McRae, now at 3 up to 4. Only a few bike lengths separate these riders out there at Atlantic Motorsport Park around turn 4. Over the top of 5, a couple of bike lengths between each of them. Mario Richard with a great drive over the top of 5, opened up a couple of bike lengths, but Chris McRae is great on the brakes in 7. We can see it here again, now able to come in within a couple of bike lengths, but Brad Bork as well, right on the back of Chris McRae. Out of turn 9. Mario Richard, 2 bike lengths, make that 1, heading on to the front straightaway. They cross the line. Still 6 laps to go. John Fraser continuing to stretch the lead. This battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th entering turn 3, where John Fraser is exiting turn 4. So continuing to stretch the legs on that flatline tile GSXR 600. Now heading down the back straightaway. But the battle rages on between Murray and Brad Bork. Themselves now coming onto the back straightaway. Chris McRae a little closer here to Mario Richard this time by down the back straightaway. We'll see if he's trying to line up a move here into turn 7, but it's Brad Bork. Great entry speed into 7. See if he tries to move here into 9. Just not close enough, so still single file. Looked like mid-corner in 9. Mario Richard might have had some wheel spin or something, so they caught up a bit to him there in turn 9. Riders now get the halfway marker. Cronus Roberts crossing the line in 5th, followed by Chad Whitehead and Matthew Jollymore. Battle now coming out of turn 3. Mario onto the front straightaway. Mario Richard onto the front straightaway. Mario Richard holding off Chris McRae. Out of turn 2, Mario Richard still ahead of Chris McRae. Both riders of Chris McRae and Mario Richard able to open up a gap back to Brad Bork. So it looks like turn 2 is not his, but he's able to claw back some of that gap between 2 and the back straightaway, but still about 6-7 bike lengths back. They're sitting in 4th. Mario Richard now through 7, still holding off the lead. Eyes back here between Chad Whitehead and Matthew Jollymore. Across the line, Matthew Jollymore was about 1.3 seconds back from Chad Whitehead, but now he is right on the back of that GSXR 600. Chris McRae across the line, able to put in his fastest lap of the race. Looks like it's Mario Richard that has gone down in turn 2. Because right now Brad Bork is in second, Chris McRae in third. So something definitely must have happened. Well, I shouldn't say for sure, but it looks right now on the track something might have happened between those two riders, because Chris McRae was right behind Mario Richard and now he's behind Brad Bork. So something happened there down in turn 2. This has moved Brad Bork up into second. Chris McRae in third now. Now onto the front straightaway, Brad Bork. Fastest lap of the race there in second. Looking at Chris McRae's time, he was about 2 seconds over his consistent lap time, so more evidence of something happening there in turn 2 between those two riders. Two laps left to go. I'll track down the leader there, coming through turn 9 now. Couple of corners to go when he comes on to the front straightaway. This is going to be the last lap of this Pro Cycle Pro Sport Bike second race of the weekend. Now onto the front straightaway. So a couple of battles happen out there after. Now the gaps there for second and third. The battle to watch is between Chad Whitehead and Matthew Jollymore coming off the back straightaway. Chad Whitehead into turn 9, 1 bike length ahead of Matthew Jollymore. That is 4th, 5th, and 6th on the track. Now coming on to the front straightaway. Getting the last lap flag. Chad Whitehead able to open up a couple of bike lengths there between 11 and onto the front straightaway. So Matthew Jollymore wants to get into that battle for 5th. He's only got a few corners to go. Nice healthy battle there between Kristen Whitehead and Matthew Curvin. Across the line, only 2 tenths separating those two riders. But here comes John Fraser, the winner of the second race of the Pro Cycle Pro Sport Bike, but also is now the 2025 Pro Cycle Pro Sport Bike champion. Brad Bork coming on to the front straightaway. Look at coming across in second, followed by Chris McRae in third. That as well has some championship implications. Only 7 points separating those two riders in the championship. So now that is an extra 6 points. So now within 3. Chad Whitehead crossing the line, able to hold off Matthew Jollymore across the line for that's 5th and 6th. Kristen Whitehead also holding off Matthew Curvin. Hard charging at the end for 7th and 8th. Now here comes the Pro Sport Bike 2025 champion. Coming off down pit lane. Flatline Tile sponsored GSXR 600. Hit the ground running right from race 1 of round 1 and hasn't looked back in this championship. Bike owner Adam Singer putting that checkered flag in his boot. John Frazier now making his way to turn 4. All the marshals with 2, 3, 4 flags in their hand, congratulating the champion. Mario Richard able to drive his bike off the track. Good to see. Mario Richard's actually getting ready to go to Calabogie next weekend along with a couple of the other riders here. Adam Singer heading alongside. Also Greg Murray making the trip up. Now moments away from the start of the third race of the day, which is the THB Safety Consultants Limited Thunder 8-lap race. Looks like